media teleconference. We have reporters and writers joining us from around the world, so let's get started. First, I'd like to welcome the founder of GFW, who is now the Chief Creative Officer. Of course, he's the King of the Mountain, a former World Heavyweight Champion, and the #1 Nashville Predators fan. Jeff Jarrett, welcome to the teleconference.
Well, thank you, Ross. I do appreciate everybody joining us today. And, since we talked last week at the end of Slave Anniversary Week, we were excited about this call today and looking forward to the teleconferences happening quite often. Things got kicked off in a little, a rather bizarre way with Big Papa Pump a couple of weeks ago, but we look forward to engaging our fans, via all the journalists who are on this call today, and I do appreciate everybody joining us today.
All right. Well, I would now like to welcome a very special person who all of us at GFW had the honor to meet last week at the Impact Zone. Tony Marrero is an Orlando, Florida resident who is a special guest for GFW's Remembering Pulse nightclub 1 year later, a tribute to the 49 victims and the survivors of the Pulse nightclub tragedy back on June 12th, 2016. Tony was shot 4 times in the back and once in the arm. Hopefully everybody at this time has had the chance or will have the chance to watch the 10-minute tribute that GFW did. And I can speak on behalf of everybody with the company. We are very proud of the tribute and definitely honored to welcome Tony to this teleconference. Tony, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for having me.
Tony will be joining us for the first 10 minutes of this call. So when I do open it up for questions, I ask that any questions for Tony and or Jeff strictly at this time be focused on the Remembering Pulse nightclub 1 year later tribute. So Tony, Jeff, I'm going to leave the floor to you guys.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. And before we get things going, Ross, I know you wanted to make the statement that is the obvious, the latest breaking news as it concerns Alberto. So I'll let you lead with that, and then I'll just have a quick comment after that as well.
Sure. As everybody might be aware, GFW issued a statement this morning regarding Alberto El Patron. I'll repeat that statement right now. Global Force Wrestling has indefinitely suspended Alberto El Patron, effective immediately, until the investigation is resolved following a recent incident in Orlando, Florida. That is the only statement GFW will be making on this matter at this point, and we ask for this teleconference that there be no questions on this matter. We have issued a statement, and we are moving forward, the investigation to complete. So, Jeff, if I can ask you your thoughts on the Pulse nightclub Remembrance Night.
Sure. Well, but before we get to that, and I do, obviously the attorneys would rather I not say anything, but I do just want to comment briefly on the Alberto situation. Obviously, it's very unfortunate. Over the last 24 to 36 hours, Global Force Wrestling officials, as well as Anthem and a host of others that are a part of our team, both inside and outside, we are digging into this matter and continuing to dig into this matter. Concurrently, I have generated some of these conversations, and some people have reached out to me. I have I'll call them my mentors, so to speak, in the corporate world that are the CEOs of the world, and then some professional sports, NHL, NFL, player personnel, coaches, both on the pro and the college level. And I just wanted to pick their brain and advice on how to best handle this situation. And really the takeaway from both of it, and I'll sort of leave it at this, is that, the 2 takeaways that I got from the combined conversations are, at the end of the day, it truly is on a case-by-case basis when you're dealing with athletes and entertainers, and that type of public figures and that type of situation, as well as there's never an absolutely correct decision to make, a right decision, and there's always not an absolutely wrong decision to make. But just as I left the staff meeting a few minutes ago with our weekly staff meetings here at Global Force, I addressed everyone in the room and said, I will take as much responsibility of this as people want to put on my shoulders. I've been blessed to be put in this position, and I truly want to make the best decision, not only for everyone in administration and production and talent, all of our production folks that, when you group that entire group, it's well over 200 people that depend on, quote unquote, a paycheck from this organization. And then at the end of the day, again, I've been around the business for over 70 years. At the end of the day, the wrestling fans are the ones that are first and foremost. So, it's part of my responsibility as well to look after that. So it's an unfortunate situation. We take matters, any legal matter, but we also take personal matters. And obviously,
the recording has started.
It's obviously a legal matter as well as a personal matter. And so we take it very seriously. And I've probably spoken a little bit more than I should, but I just wanted to make sure that I was as transparent as I possibly could with everyone on the call. And again, we'll move on from that and move on to as I stated earlier, last week when the PR team and myself sat down and the teleconferences were going to be laid out, we're very excited about it. Very, very pleased with the Weekend Slammiversary and everything that led up to it. But, we could go this past Monday, our Pulse nightclub tribute was very, very emotional from everyone in the arena as well as backstage, and then the follow up with the Facebook post and I just got to say my wife Karen and Tony have become big buds through this wonderful situation that we came together and making the best of a very horrific tragedy. So with that being said, Tony's a great guy, and me and him are open for questions to kick this teleconference off.
Tony, before we get to questions, if I can ask you your thoughts as you reflect back on the tribute a week ago.
Of course. First of all, I want to thank the entire production for what it was a beautiful way to honor the victims, survivors, and everybody affected by this horrible tragedy that happened a year ago. It was a very emotional night for everybody, not just me, but everybody that was involved. It was a very emotional thing to see, as well as beautiful. And like I said, I want to thank everybody that was involved in doing this, tribute to everybody that was affected by it.
Thank you, Tony. At this point, I am going to open it up for questions for Tony and or Jeff about the Pulse Nightclub tribute. If you have questions, you hit *6, and we will get to some of those questions right away. We're going to keep Tony on the phone here for about 10 minutes now.
Q&A session has started. To ask your question, please press *6.
Tony, you want to talk about meeting with Karen? You had a fun meeting in the back. You want to talk about that?
Time that I just had to go back, so I kept going for other 2 other tapings because we felt, me and the people that I brought, we felt so welcome by everybody there. It was such a good place to be at, and Karen was just so wonderful to me, and I'm looking forward to just keep seeing you guys, and I know it's gonna happen. Every time you guys are in town, Roz is obviously going to hit me up, and we are going to get together because you guys are amazing. Everything you guys do and what you did for us, or Orlando as a whole, is just something that I'm always going to keep dear, next to my heart.
We are opening it up for questions now. Ryan, did you have a question?
Hello, my question's for Tony. This is Raj Gary with WrestlingInc.com. I know there were plans for converting the Pulse nightclub into a memorial in honor of the victims. So what's the status on that, and is that still happening?
As far as I am concerned, it's still in the talks. They have the One Pulse Foundation, and they've been working on it. But as far as I know, there's nothing just completely concrete. It is going to be a memorial as far as I know, but that's all the information that I have so far, that they're still talking about it.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Ryan Bowman from thegorillaposition.com. I kind of want to ask Jeff and everybody, really, as everything happened, Orlando's kind of home for everybody and the taping. What was that like, and how did it shake everybody up with the company?
Ryan, I want to make sure I understand your question. Are you asking last Monday night or when the incident, which...
I'm sorry. I meant when the nightclub shooting incident occurred, I'm sure with everybody pretty much working and being around Orlando and knowing everyone in the community, how did it affect everybody in the company? How were they shook up by it?
Well, and I'll go first on this, Tony, if you don't mind. Ironically, and I wasn't with the organization last year when it happened. I can tell you exactly where I was, though. I was in New Jersey. I just got done with the GFW show, and it was early in the morning, and I woke up before I did my cardio, and I turned on the TV. Karen was still asleep, and then, you know, like probably millions of Americans, we were glued to the television show on that morning. And then our wonderful friend Joe Park shared a story with me last week that the production crew was actually in Orlando, and when they got off Joe Abyss went downstairs and got off the elevator, and there were armed guards with machine guns, and it was sort of a police headquartered, a mobile headquarter. So it was, you know, at that time, so early in the morning, it was really just a horrific situation that people, it was so early in the tragedy that people didn't really know what was going on. So I know that it permeated throughout the talent and the production folks, that it was just a really surreal day of just what was going on.
Hi, Jeff, Jarrett. This is Alan Wojcik from Outside Interference Wrestling Radio. How are we doing today?
Great.
I hate asking this question, but I have to ask it. The Alberto El Patron situation. A year or two ago, TNA ran into an issue where Sean Hernandez was under contract to Lucha Underground, and he had to get edited out of TV, including the entire Beatdown Clan angle. What's TNA, Impact, GFW going to do? Is he going to get edited out of all of the TV going forward, or what's the plan?
Alan, we're going to, Jeff, if I can chime in here, we're going to take a couple more questions for Jeff and Tony about the Pulse Club nightclub situation that we had a tribute. We're going to do those at this point while we still have Tony for another minute or two on the phone.
Hello.
Go ahead with your call. Question?
Yes. So, hi, this is Riju from Sportskira in India. I had a question for Jeff. Hey, Jeff. Congratulations on a fantastic Slammiversary 15. My favorite match was JB and Scott Steiner versus Josh Matthews and Joseph Park. Now, that incorporates elements from the Violent Lyrican skit. Will that be something you do going forward as well?
Ross, we may want to go ahead and progress unless there's any other calls and questions regarding the Pulse nightclub tribute.
Perfect. We're going to have one more here. I think this one.
Hello, Tony. It's Lee Hazel from Steel Chair Magazine. I was just wondering if you yourself had any history with professional wrestling prior to the incident, and if you have any memories of it yourself.
I'm so sorry. Could you run by one more time?
I was just wondering, how did how did your involvement with the professional wrestling industry in this matter come about?
How am I involved with the wrestling?
Yeah, like how did you get involved with Impact Wrestling and Jeff in particular?
Oh, I got involved. It was throughout another one of the survivors, and they ran it by me, and they asked me if I wanted to be part of a tribute that was going to be part of Impact Wrestling, and automatically I said yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Tony.
Tony, I know you got to head back over to Universal Studios, so we're going to let you go there, and we're going to, at this point, open the questions up for anything along the lines for Jeff. We have a lot of things going on in GFW these days, from post-Slammiversary and the merger, so feel free with your questions. If you want to ask them, all we ask is when you do ask a question, you identify yourself and your outlet. Tony, if you're here, again, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll move on to some questions for Jeff.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. See you, Ross.
Tony, I want to thank you publicly. Appreciate it, Tony. Have a great day.
Of course. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Ross, as we move along, I didn't quite get the Sportskeeda specific question from India, but I'll go back to Alan's question.
If you'd like to ask a question, please press 1 to add yourself to the queue. Your request has been received.
At the time that the Hernandez situation, but from my understanding, that was a completely an IP, intellectual property situation, in that he was signed, or there was a legal situation where he could not appear on camera, to the best of my knowledge. In this matter, it's a completely different situation, in that, again, decisions are made what's best for the league, what's best for the brand, what's best for everyone involved. And yes, we just came off the heels of 4 fantastic days of production. And so at this time, those production days, it's no secret in this business that the incident took place after the production was the live production was done. So it collectively, it would further damage the brand to edit all of this out. And quite frankly, it would do further damage to the brand. So again, the decisions are made at the very best we can to continue to grow the brand. We've made tremendous strides since Anthem, took control of the asset in January, and as we've moved along over the last 6 months, and coming off the heels of Slammiversary and the early numbers that are in, it's very apparent that the success, we're taking steps in the right direction. And from the very beginning of TNA in 2002, that was always what led to our successes over the years, are crawl, walk, run. Just not rush into things. So if Ross, if we can get the Sportskeeda question back at some point during the call, but other than that, let's move on.
You may now ask your question.
Hey Jeff, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com here. I want to ask what the process was of turning Impact into Global Force so soon after TNA was turned into Impact, and what was Ed Nordholm's reaction to that? What were his feelings about that in particular?
Obviously, it was a collective decision very early in our relationship, dating back till mid-December. It was very clear that the TNA name was going away with no uncertainty long before I came on board. And so as the days, weeks turned into months, the process began that it was very apparent that the name of the brand, name of the league, name of the promotion, WWE is to Raw, what Global Force is to Impact, that the name TNA was going away. From day one, the name of the television show was always Impact. And so it was a collective decision with multiple executives that were on board here that obviously wasn't a singular decision by any stretch of the imagination. Len Asper, Ed Nordholm, production elements. It was a collective
Muted.
going to transition in, and we're well aware that it is going to be a step-by-step process. That the name or the initials TNA have much more equity internationally, specifically in India. That the double entendre doesn't exist. The United States press, as opposed to the India press and other markets around the world, the name TNA in the initials in the league, the PR hits that quite frankly were massive over the last 24 months. So it was and it will be a delicate balance, but it's something that we charted our course, and we realize that it's going to be a step-by-step process. We had a meeting yesterday that as far as our digital front, GlobalForceWrestling.com, ImpactWrestling.com, you're going to see that begin to roll out over the next 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 weeks. As we launch our OTT, that's coming in play. Obviously, all the social media channels with GFW and all the social media channels with Impact. There's going to be a progression, and we do have a plan in place. But at the end of the day, we understand that the viewers, specifically television viewers, as opposed to online viewers, that if they tune in, and we realize no matter what show it is, you don't watch it every week. You watch it 3 out of 4 weeks out of a month, or 2 out of 4 weeks. That we want it to be a natural transition, a progression. And at the end of the day, we will get there sooner rather than later, but it's going to be a transition.
Hey, Jeff, this is Tommy McCardle from ringscoops.com. How you doing today?
Good. How you doing, sir?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. My question is, are there any plans for GFW to come out to the West Coast or to make a return to Las Vegas for any tapings?
The short answer is absolutely yes. The timing is something that right now we have staff in Ontario that are doing some site surveys. It's no secret that we're coming out to Staten Island, Long Island, and Bridgeport. We're going to be making further announcements about. We're going to be making announcements about our AAA relationship and the talent exchange. And we hope very soon that we're going to be making announcements about AAA joining us on our New York trip for our live events. Obviously, like I said, we're looking at Ontario for September. We're probably going to look at another Northeast run, fourth quarter of this year. And then as we head into January, discussions have already begun about looking in first quarter, going back to our traditional first quarter of United Kingdom tour. But to say Vegas is on our radar without question, it is a fantastic, just like Orlando, it's one of the entertainment capitals. It's a destination city, and then West Coast. It goes without saying, all the wrestling fans from Northern California all the way to Tijuana. So timing is obviously the biggest factor. But yes, we're looking at a West Coast swing.
Hi, Jeff. David Dunn with the New Zealand Pro Wrestling Informer. I want to ask about the working agreements you've got with some of the promotions around the world. The original iteration of GFW set up several, in principle, agreements with a number of independent groups, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, United Kingdom, etc. What is the status of those relationships with regard to the current form of GFW?
Well, it's very obvious that there's been a major turnover in talent, and that the world in which we live in this wonderful world of professional wrestling is much more transparent, and that everybody has a start, whether it's in the smallest of independents or whether it's a major independent. But there's great operations literally around the world. The UK scene goes without saying. Australia, there's been several independent tours as of late. I've been contacted by my friends in New Zealand as well. So we are going to recognize, no matter where the talent comes from, Desmond Xavier, who is a star and completely on the rise with a rocket ship on his back, There's a story behind every individual wrestler that comes on our roster. They most of the time have somewhat of a home base or a home promotion, and we're going to continue to recognize that. And so there's promotions around the world that as we continue to roll in third and fourth quarter of this year, more independent promotions, will be recognized. Monster Factory, their tag team champs, obviously came on board back in March. But WrestlePro is an independent organization we work with in the Northeast. MCW, based out of Baltimore. So there is so many promotions out there that are thriving and doing well in independent wrestling, as opposed to, when I broke in, I'm an old man, but back in the 80s, the territories, exchange of talent. Now the independent scene is truly the lifeblood of our industry.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello, this is Big Ray from OneWrestling.com, One Wrestling Video. How are you, Mr. Jarrett?
You have got a radio voice, Big Ray. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Mr. Foreman, for setting this up. First and foremost, Bill Apter wanted to say hello.
Wet Willie, Wild Willie. Tell him I said hello.
Sir. Well, I do have two questions, if I may, sir.
Shoot, I'm ready.
All right, the first being, we were just curious as to whether you were going to continue the lineage of the X Division title and continue moving forward with the Grand Championship, or are you going to basically eliminate those titles and proceed with the next gen title and maybe move into using perhaps a television title?
Obviously in the world, and whether it's WWE or back in the day WCW or back in the territory days, six-man titles, tag titles, it's always a work in progress, but the plans going forward are, the global championship, and we looked at things, and we have unique plans later on the year for the next gen championship. But the four divisions as we head into Destination X are the X division, the Knockouts division, the Tag Team division, and the Global Championship. And the Impact Grand Championship is still exactly what it was prior to Anthem coming on board.
Very good. Now, my second question is very straightforward. There are other companies that pin themselves to be more of a PG product. Now, will GFW be pushing the edge and giving us more of a realistic base of sports entertainment and pro wrestling, Mr. Jarrett?
Well, obviously being a part of the Attitude Era, pushing the edge, it can mean multiple things, some positive, some negative. But at Global Force, it is exactly something that I've been a part of and seen throughout the years. The most productive storylines, if you want to call them storylines, are always reality-based, whether it's Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon, whether it's the NWO that connotated the WWF and was, the situation was litigated, the WWF invading WCW, no matter, going back way to my my early years, Lawler and Dundee, a huge rivalry that existed for years based on their true personal hatred of one another. So quite frankly, when you say push the edge, not in a negative or language or smut, if you will, but we will and will always continue reality-based situations have always been the most successful in professional wrestling, and so if you want to say that's pushing the reality-based component, the answer to your question would be yes. But we're certainly not going with I'll go back to the word smut and the elements that at the time, the Attitude Era, obviously Shock TV and was super successful for its day and age. In 2017, as we roll into 2018, there really is no place for a completely wide appeal. All ages. It's not. You just can't focus on that male 25 to 34 demo. It's got to be a much broader to be successful.
We can remind all reporters to ask only one question, since we have a lot of people waiting. Jeff, can I ask you, though, what's up with the titles? We have an announcement on titles upcoming in August?
You talking about the new belts?
Yes.
I was answering emails on that at about 6 o'clock this morning. So it's a work in progress, but we're excited for August the 17th for Destination X and the new titles.
Hi, Jeff. This is Raj Giri with WrestlingInc.com. I had a question regarding the Hall of Fame. It was and James Storm kind of promoting the Hall of Fame ahead of time, but saying he wasn't going to be in. I guess we can't do two-parters, but is there anything to James Storm not being at the Slammiversary, the post-Slammiversary Impact tapings?
Well, the post-Slammiversary Impact tapings, James had a head injury. He said it's not bad. I kind of think the doctors, although they, but that's James, and James will always be James. The doctors have different opinions, but that had, I'm not sure. I know you're the two-parters, so even though we're all sudden wanting to answer two-parters, on the topic of Hall of Fame, that was, I guess you could say, as tradition went, that the Hall of Fame inductee was announced on Slammiversary. We collectively have a different philosophy, and we just wanted to announce on Slammiversary. Obviously, it's many months off. That obviously on November 5th is the date for Bound for Glory, but on November 4th, we're going to have a fan fest and we're going to have a Hall of Fame dinner. We are having those discussions and have been having those discussions. There's a very good potential that the first inductee of this class can be announced on August 17th. But stay tuned to our YouTube channel and our website. Further details will be coming. But no, I'm super excited about that. There's a lot of different candidates moving forward, and I'm of the mindset that a Hall of Fame inductee should be certainly in the twilight of their career, and I don't put James Storm in the twilight of his career at this time.
Hi, Jeff. This is Nick Hausman with WrestleZone. Thank you for taking the time to chat.
Appreciate it, Nick. I saw you online that you solicited questions. So I know that Ross has disappointed you, so I guess you got to pick the best of the batch.
I'm trying my best. Well, my question is about the kind of public spat that Anthem and the Hardys been having over the Broken Universe. I just didn't know if you guys had found any conclusion with that, and it was a situation that you all had moved past.
It is the wonderful world of social media and the digital and just the open opinions. Quite frankly, it is the world we live in, and I welcome it because you got to take the good, the bad, the ugly, the different, the indifferent, and it's truly no different than the wrestling business that existed 30 years ago, except the platform was much smaller. When we would leave the buildings back in the 80s and 90s, you would have fans that would be out back that would either scream at Double J that they loved him or hated him or didn't like his match or liked his match, or tell me that this guy stunk or whatever it may be. But as far as this specific situation, I have, given my opinion on it. It's no secret, and I've said this in multiple interviews, me and Jeff Hardy's friendship goes back well over 20 years. Our families have vacationed together. I've had a healthy exchange of texts with Jeff over the last couple of weeks. We wished each other Happy Father's Day. And so, the IP situation is strictly quite frankly, the IP language that is used in our contract is almost identical to the language used in the WWE contract, almost identical back in the day from WCW IP law. And I've been, whether fortunate or unfortunate, to grow up in Nashville, be around the music business. But intellectual property law is rather cut and dried, that you have the publisher and you have the writers, and then you have another element of that. You have the performance. There's people in Nashville that can sing a song and take it to number one, and 10 years later, another artist can come along and they can sing that exact same song and take it to number one. and they make their money off performances. But the writers and the publishers continue to make that money. So it goes without saying, the wrestling business is different. You know, Vince McMahon owned the name The Rock until The Rock bought it back. Same with Laser, same with Diesel, and I could go on and on about guys jumping ship from especially back in the Attitude Era when guys would jump ship from WWF to WCW. You know, Big Boss Man was never the Big Boss Man in WCW, but quite frankly, there only will ever be one Big Boss Man. And it goes without saying, Matt's performance, there's only one broken Matt. He did that. It transcended the Hardy Boyz or Matt Hardy, and that goes without saying. There's only one Brother Nero. It's funny, on vacations, and I told this story the other day, and a buddy of mine said, you ought to tell people that. Well, when there's two Jeffs in a vacation home, it can get confusing. So we started calling Nero instead of, Jeff Jarrett, Jeff Hardy. So anyway, hats off to those guys in the performance. But it goes to the ownership, and there's multiple writers, and there's writers that were part of the Broken Brilliance it's very obvious they're no longer with the company. Dave Lagana, Matt Conway, and Billy Corgan, to be exact. But, Jeremy Borash in production and writing, and then you have, Jimmy Long, and so and Matt and Jeff. So there was a group of writers without question. But ownership always lies with the publisher, and that's not new to this industry or intellectual property law.
Hi, Jeff. Raj Gary with WrestlingInc.com again. I guess I wanted to ask what the status of the GFW World Title is right now. Is it considered vacant?
At this time, you're talking about Alberto's belt. I just want to be clear because there was a belt question about the Global Championship, but which is the World Title, correct?
Right, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. The decisions, obviously, again, I don't want to comment, but this is, again, I want to be as transparent because it's the world we live in, and I'm totally on board with this. I've got 5 kids, and communication is the key to any relationship, whether it's personal or business or whatever. So to communicate with you folks who are taking the time out of your day to jump on this call, it's an ongoing. An investigation sounds so legal, but it goes a lot further than legal. So the ongoing investigation. So at this time, that situation has not been addressed as it directly relates to the belt because it's far from the most important, in my opinion.
Hi, Jeff. Donna Corby from the Irish Daily Mirror here. I'm just wondering, you talked about coming back to the UK. When exactly, I didn't hear you earlier, when exactly do you plan on returning to the UK? Because we know that Impact in the past have had such a huge following around here.
Nothing specific. Talks began before Summerversary. Had another call this week. Obviously, the world of sport, the WOS situation is still ongoing. Everything's a work in progress. But traditionally, we've come in January. So I don't want to hold ourselves to January, but first quarter of 2018 is what we have preliminarily targeted.
Hey, Jeff, this is Tommy from ringscoops.com again. I got a question. Do you plan on doing any women's tournaments in the future?
Obviously, the Super X Cup is something that you can say we brought back, but I kind of think this year's version is by far the best. When you have, Ishimori, you have Drago, you have such an international flair into it. And so it's something that we, brought to the forefront, new and improved. And a women's tournament, for a long time, we didn't have women's wrestling in at that time called TNA on Impact, just because we wanted the depth of the talent. And then obviously as we grew over the years in 2010, 2011, 2009, whatever year it was that Gail and Kong main evented for the first time in modern day history, main evented a 2-hour television show. And so the short answer to the question is without question, because the depth of women's wrestling, quite frankly, has exploded over the last 36 months in a great way. So the shorter answer is yes. The timing, that would have to be a collaborative effort from the matchmaking group.
Hi, Jeff. Raj Giri with WrestlingInc.com again. With GFW now doing live events again, Impact, I wanted to know, have you guys been looking at possibly moving pay-per-views out of the Impact Zone and
Sure.
starting with Bound for Glory?
Sure. I mean, without question,
If you'd like to ask a question, please press 1 to add your request has been received.
but it has to make financial sense. It goes without saying that taking Impact on the road several years ago was a financial disaster, and so you have to methodically look at every decision and make sure that it makes financial sense. But we're going to start with our live events, and again, I'll say put our toe back in the water. We realized that we're not going to put an event on sale and it's going to go clean and sell out. Quite frankly, the WWE doesn't do that for live events, but they're out there, they're touring. Obviously, it's an organization, publicly traded, been around 50 plus years, and so their brand awareness in every market they go, they don't have that situation. We're obviously in a rebranding situation in every sense of the word, and so we're getting back out in that market. We got to make the right decisions, and that's why we're excited to partner with Noah, partner with AAA, get into these markets. Our LAX, our current tag champs, are going to be throwing out the pitch and doing the signing, the meet and greets over in Staten Island. We've got the Bridgeport baseball show. We got Long Island event. There's a lot of positive things happening, from live events to our digital world. I'll brag on my digital guys when I just left that staff meeting, and they were telling me some numbers from Spike UK and how the female demos have exploded and how the kids demos have exploded. Our median age on our program in the U.S. is the lowest it's been. We're trying to figure that out, but we think it's the median age is the lowest it's been since 2009, and that's I just got to tell you that's fantastic because everybody on this call is well aware of the business and the WWE their quarterly calls and their reporting has educated everyone that to get sponsors, to get advertisers, you got to have that lower demographic. You got to be sponsor friendly, and so we're working on all of that. Our merchandise is headed in that direction. Our DVDs, our production, our YouTube numbers. We're gonna reach 1 billion views shortly, which is great. We're gonna reach 1 million subscribers, and so our digital stuff, and that's been reported. So we're rowing uphill. I mean, rowing in the same direction. Sometimes it's going to be uphill. Sometimes it's going to be downhill. But Raj, to go back to answer your question is absolutely we're looking at taking, and we're actually not just Bound for Glory, but we're also looking at adding another live pay-per-view to our schedule in 2018.
Hey, Jeff. Mike Babcock with TMZ Sports here. Forgive me if this has already been addressed. I hopped on here a little bit late. Have you been in contact with Alberto yet at this point?
Yeah, I mean, and I'll yes, you are a little late. We hit it off the top, and we made the statement. I'm sure you've seen it on our site. If you haven't, you can go to ImpactWrestling.com or GlobalForceWrestling.com.
I have.
See the statement. Yeah, and so that is our statement. I probably said a little more than I'm supposed to, but the short answer to your question is, without question, I have been in constant contact with not only him but his representatives as well.
Hello, Jeff.
Yes.
Hello.
Yep.
Yes, this is Gary Keaton. I'm Irish freelance and I write for WrestleView.com. Apologies if I'm a bit blocked. I have a cold. My question is production values and Ireland. First of all, your production values are better on your DVDs, in my opinion, humble opinion, than WWE's. So something to play to. production values of King of the Mountain and the Jeff Hardy DVDs. They're more open and honest. My question relates to when you come to the UK, will you be doing a tour of Ireland as well?
Absolutely. We obviously, you know, if you're an Ireland man, and one of your Irish brethren are making some news on this side of the pond with Connor and his press conferences this week, and I, quite frankly, thought he tore Floyd up yesterday. Just as a side note, I love his soundbite. Nobody does a presser better than Connor. But yes, Dublin has been very, very successful for us over the years. I can remember as far back as 1994 having some shows in Belfast and Northern Ireland. So, but no, the short answer to your question is Ireland is obviously being looked at, and we've had success there. So I see no reason why we wouldn't make that a part of the tour.
Hi, this is Jeremy Walker with Real Sport. One of the issues that Impact Wrestling faced in the past was that they let their best talent out of the door. Just wondering what the new regime is doing to keep hold of their top guys this time around.
It goes without saying. It's a priority. It goes without saying. That is a priority, and we are making very good progress on that specific question.
Ryan Ryder here from Main Event Radio. Hello, Jeff. I want to know if you can elaborate a little bit on the partnerships with AAA and Pro Wrestling Noah. What will they entail, and if you're in talks with any other promotions?
The partnership with Noah is obviously Mr. Poole, the president, was over here for the entire 6-day run. Their next big show is October the 1st, and I believe, don't hold me to it, but I believe so, it's Yokohama. We are going to have talent that appear on that show, multiple talent, so we're excited about that. It's a great working relationship. Obviously, Marafuchi was a part of our tapings last week, and he's a guy that I'll just say his credentials speak for themselves. Ishimori, in the Super X Cup, and then when you get to AAA, Triple Mania, their 25th year of celebration of being in business, and Triple Mania this year. It's a mega event, 18, 19, 20,000, whatever that arena holds down there. There's going to be Global Force stars on that show as well. So both of our biggest talent exchanges, promotional relationships and we're looking at content, not just talent exchanges, but as we roll out, our OTT and the relationship we're having. So the relationships is I don't want to say exactly because it's a step-by-step process, but they're certainly headed in the right direction. It's something that I always envisioned and knew that it wouldn't happen overnight, but it's something, you got to start somewhere in business. And look, there's no one in this world more impatient than me, but through the years, you've learned that, you have to start with A before you can ever get to Z in the alphabet if you're going to go all the way through it. So it really is a step-by-step process. But we're very excited, and obviously there's independent promotions around the globe that we continue to look at. Matter of fact, I talked with a promoter from Pakistan this week. So wrestling is truly a global product.
Jeff, Gary Keaveney again from WrestleView in Freelance, Ireland. Have you been in talk ever with CM Punk, or would you care to comment on CM Punk's status as a wrestler? Do you think he'll come back to wrestling and come back to any GFW, TNA, Impact?
No, CM Punk, to my knowledge, no conversations that I've certainly had. But also, I totally my understanding that, he's signed to a UFC situation, and that's where his energy's headed. Unbelievable talent, and I've said it when it first came out. Hats off to the guy to step into that octagon. Win, lose, or draw, he's a winner in my book for chasing his dream.
You may now ask your question.
Hey, Jeff. Sean Rossap of Fightful.com here. What type of relationship, if any, do you maintain with Spike TV stateside? I know they're rebranding at the end of the year, and I didn't know if you had kept in touch with anybody from that wing maybe over the past several years.
Muted.
You broke up right at the beginning. Can you restate that, Sean?
No, actually, we're on the next call. Jeff, he was asking about the Spike TV relationship domestically.
Oh, obviously we're in a long-term relationship. It's no secret that they're rebranding the Spike Network here domestically, going to the Paramount Network, and you can see if you read the trade, the direction they're headed. They have an enormous investment in Bellator. But I'll just say this, I have a long-term relationship with those guys, and Viacom has multiple outlets, and so who knows what the future holds.
Hey, Jeff, this is Tommy from RigScoops.com again. My question is, are there any plans for a GFW video game in the future?
That is at the top of the list when you look into the licensing. And again, the licensing program going back many years ago. Again, it is a methodical. It doesn't happen overnight process. The two biggest categories when you look at licensing are video game and action figures, and both categories, the steps have begun, although very baby steps and preliminary. But quite frankly, there's nothing more than I would love, because again, we're a global brand, and there's a lot of video gamers around the world, and so action figures and video game are the top two categories in the licensing program that we're going to begin to develop.
Jeff's time is very limited, so if you have already asked a question, I ask that you take yourself out of the queue for a future question. We're going to try to get through as many as we can in the limited time Jeff has left.